Well, today we got the auctioneer extraordinaire Kim Stone coming in. He's a really good guy. He's been in Cleveland for a long time. I'm really looking forward to talking to him and seeing what's up.
It is?
Well, I've had a morning.
Have you?
I came in here, minding my own business, and I get a call from a lady that said a tree fell, hit her house, hit the power service meter box. So Cleveland Utilities called me. They said that the power is out at the whole duplex. So I called a couple electricians. Nobody's available. It's Father's Day, you know.
Yeah.
And it's called Conley Electric. Shout out to Conley Electric. And they sent a guy over, and they cannot get any of the meter bases. They even called Wholesale Supply Group. Wholesale Supply Group came in and unlocked.
Wow.
And they didn't have one there. The guy from Cleveland Utilities, a real nice guy, Gus Miller. I don't know him. Do you know him?
No.
But
Gus Miller.
but anyway, so I told her I'd get her a motel room, but she said she'd just stay there. What if they don't have one tomorrow? I mean, you know, these older buildings, whether you can get a meter base,
Yeah.
you know, you don't, you know, it's not like they're all the same. It's an older building. I guess it's built in probably 78 or something like that.
Wow.
Something all the time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you ever have problems like that?
I got rentals.
How many you got?
Well, I had 2 mobile home parks. We'll talk about that.
Oh.
And then I'm down to, I sold a bunch of stuff, so I got 12 right now.
That's a load, isn't it? I mean,
It keeps me busy. I'm here and I'm in North Carolina. I'll tell you about it. Where I came from, Raleigh, outside of Raleigh.
Middlesex?
Yeah. How'd you know that?
I
You
just
looked
knew.
it
I
up?
knew it was about east of Raleigh, maybe something like that.
Dead east.
Somebody else I know is from there.
No way.
Yeah, I forget who it was.
Oh,
I forget who it was. You don't know who it was?
I don't have a clue. I got a lot of
It might have
relatives
been.
here.
It might have been Murray. What's his name? The Lee College guy.
Danny Murray.
Danny Murray.
He's from Rocky Mountain, which is not far from there.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, he's like 20-some miles away.
Did you know him there?
My brother knew him, my older brother. I knew him when he got to Lee. Everybody knows everybody at Lee.
Whenever you read a story in the newspaper or see something on television about somebody getting arrested, you naturally assume they're guilty. Unless the story's about you or someone you love, then you'll think differently. And you'll want a lawyer who will defend you. My name's Scott Canavis. If you or someone you love has been charged with a crime, call me. I'll return your phone calls, I'll work on your case, and I will defend you.
Is that what you came here for, Lee?
Yes, sir.
Was you in there with Tim Waldrop?
Tim Waldrop came, I came in 75. I think he came in 1976.
Did you know him there?
I didn't have a clue who he was. I got to know him.
Well, he's a great guy, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah, we've been friends ever since. I mean, the guys we're hooked up with at Lee, we're still friends. I mean, if you see us around town, you might see a bunch of guys, but they all come in from wherever they're at, just come here to Cleveland just to talk.
Just to go to school.
We came here to go to school, Church of God school, not to be preachers. We were all pretty much business people. Most of the guys I got preacher friends, but you know, most of them were.
Well, Cleveland, Lee College has brought a lot of people here, hasn't it?
And look what it's done for the city. like most families, I've been here since 1975.
75.
That's 50 years.
So Tim came in 76
I think he
or
came
something like
in
that?
76. I don't remember him in 75, but I do remember him in 76.
They say that we're having the Lee College effect where the kids that went there then are getting older and their parents are moving here too, and that's just one of the reasons we're getting so many people.
Yeah, they come back here. People my age are coming back here to retire. It's a good place.
Oh, it's a good place.
Great. I raised my 2 kids here. You can't ask for no better city. I mean,
Even with our problems, it's still the best place to be.
I love it. I think we're blessed. That's why I haven't,
What about Kevin Brooks? He was
Kevin Brooks is younger. I know him. Like I said, when you go to Lee, you get to know pretty much a lot of people.
Was it a 2-year school then?
No, sir, it's 4 years when I went.
Oh.
And they had basketball, baseball, they had tennis, and what else? Not really sure if they had girls basketball.
Did you have to work while you was here?
Absolutely.
Where'd you work?
Cleveland Country Club. Les Marlowe. He's my buddy. He took care of me.
What'd you do there?
Well, in the summer, I stayed here during the summer because we lived on 20th Street and Maple.
20th and Maple.
Well, kind of Maple. Right there at the traffic light, there's a bunch of apartments right there. Or they were condos or townhouses.
Yeah, white.
I don't know what they were
Brick
called.
and white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we lived in the second part.
Okay.
One of my friends, he bought one, and he said, "Hey, let's move here." Me and Tim stayed with us. We had 3 bedrooms. That's what.
So Tim stayed with you?
Yeah,
I bet he was a good roommate.
He was. We're still friends. We've been friends for 40
He really
some
likes
years.
you. I remember him talking about you.
Yeah, we've been friends for 40-some years, and all these other guys, we're tight friends still. We call each other, we talk. It's just a good deal. Lot of
When
fun.
you came here, did you think, hey, I'm going to stay in Cleveland, or did you just...
No, sir.
I mean, you were going back to middle.
I thought, I don't know if I was going to go back home, but I was going to go somewhere wherever I got a good job. You know, I was looking a job when I graduated.
What's an odd name, Middlesex?
It
I bet
is.
I bet there's a lot of...
And get this, you go die when you hear this. My granddad had 27 kids.
Golly, that's
I looked it up.
27
Yeah,
kids.
the last time we
Your
had
dad's dad?
Yeah, my dad. He's got 14. There's 14 boys and 13 girls.
That's nearly a record.
Well, he did have the record for a while. He lived in a big old house, like a southern house. His hobby was, guess what?
What?
Flying. He had an airplane in our backyard. I've been flying ever since I could walk. It was nothing to go, because our house was on the same farm. So I would run up there, and he'd go, "You ready to go flying?" Yeah. Get in the airplane when I was little. Ever since, I've always known airplanes. We had all kinds.
28 kids.
He had 27. He had 28, but 27 lived.
That's a pretty good
Listen to
record.
this. 2015 is the last time we had a family reunion. 27 kids, 38 grandkids, which is me, 30 great-grandkids, and 38 or 40, around 40 great-great-grandkids. That's in 2015. It's a whole lot more now. They would be
Golly.
great-grandkids.
Is he still? He's not still alive. is
He died in 1987. He was something else.
Man, that's like is it one wife?
He had 2 wives. He had first wife had 9 kids, and then he married again and had 18. He was one of the largest landowners. We were in the sawmill business. That's why I left home. Oh God.
That sawmill, that dust gets on your sweaty arms and stuff. It itches, doesn't it?
Yeah, I had to do that, but it's just the labor. It's like working
Everything's heavy.
everything's heavy and stacking lumber all day. My granddaddy he had logging crews. We would do everything. We were the Lowe's back then. He was the Lowe's.
Like Little House on the Prairie. Didn't that guy, he ran a sawmill?
Well, we had a regular sawmill. I'm not talking about old time. I'm talking about up to date stuff.
Like Conesaga or something.
Well, it's not like today's standards, but he had a ton of people that worked there. We would do everything: cut the timber, dress it, clean it, put it in buildings. That was our job. The planer had planers running all day, dressing timber, because anybody that wanted to build a house around that area, they came to Stone.
So you were killing drying it somewhat.
Well, we put it in buildings, yeah. We put it, but it stayed dry. You wanted it to stay dry. The good lumber that people wanted in their house and the trimming and.
How old was he when he died?
He was like 87.
Well, he was busy, wasn't he?
He was busy. He had a kid when he was like 60.
Wonder why he didn't had so many kids.
I don't know. He just had a bunch of kids.
Would be hard to remember all their names, wouldn't it?
Shoot, he knew everybody. He was a sharp guy.
Was he Church of God?
Yeah. When he said something, that was it.
That was it.
That was it. And he might as well not even say anything.
That's a rarity anymore, isn't it?
Yeah. and we had to work, Dee. I mean, we were taught to work.
Was there a guilt for not? When I grew up, I had to work a lot too, and I have a guilt for not working.
I guess
it's almost like a religion, a guilt, religious guilt.
You want to stay busy. We all like that. My brothers, we got to be working. We got to be doing something. And I never played sports, and even though I was good, I loved baseball. I played Little League, and then that was it. When I got that big enough to work, you can forget that. You going to work. But I told my daddy, I said, look, when I get up, when I graduate, I'm leaving you. I'm leaving. No offense, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
I came to leave. I stayed here. I didn't even go home in the summer. I didn't want no part of that.
Work at the country club was a lot easier.
I went out there with Les. He spoiled me, man. I had hamburgers out there, big old juicy hamburger. We cut grass, and I lifeguarded in the summer. So what better job?
Golly.
Yeah.
And that for 4 years.
I did it 2 or 3 years. And I did the other stuff, too.
Did Tim ever work over there?
He worked there, too. I got him a job out there. He couldn't believe when I said, man, it's lunchtime. That lady, and I don't know if you will remember out there at the time, I forgot her name. She said, we go in the bar because it was closed at lunch.
Yeah.
And she go, what do y'all want, a hamburger today? What, man, we're 18 years old. You gonna put a big old juicy hamburger in front of us? It was gone. Next, you got any more?
Those were good times, weren't they?
Oh, we had a blast, man. We go out there, I was swimming all day, playing with, all kind of games with those kids out there, little kids.
Yeah.
Teaching swimming.
Are you a lifeguard?
I was. I said, hey, I'm going to promote me to the pool.
So you had to learn to be a...
Oh, yeah, you go to the Y and get certified.
Oh, yeah. Not a real big deal.
Well, no, you have to go, the biggest thing is some of those people that teach you, they got egos. So when they get you in the bottom of that pool, they going to give you a fit to try to not get back up.
Yeah.
So that was, and some of them guys were pretty tough. I mean, you had to manhandle.
Especially under the water.
Under the water and trying to grab hold of them because they're pretending they're panicking.
Oh, yeah.
So they're underwater. They want you to give me some breath, and they're grabbing up and grab hold of your neck.
That's almost dangerous itself, isn't it?
Well, I thought, man, this is I'm ready to get back up and get some air myself. You either going up with me or I'm going to leave you down here.
What'd you graduate in?
I had a business degree.
Just general business?
Just general business. You got to have that to get a job.
Well, you did then for sure, but I don't know about now.
I don't know about now. I don't have a clue, but back then, my job was at TBA.
Yeah, how did you get a job over there?
A friend of mine in TVA, I didn't know anything about it. He told me that they were hiring, that they needed an auctioneer. Well, that's not what they called them. We're called investment recovery specialists. That's the job title, official government. But under that heading, you're an auctioneer and you're a negotiator and you do sealed bids and you sell surplus that TVA has.
Like cars and the green trucks and that sort of stuff?
I'm gonna tell you, it was unbelievable. When I went, the guy called me up one day, the head guy, the head auctioneer guy, and he said, "Hey, we're gonna make you an offer." And he made me an offer, and I said, "I'll take it." So I went to work, and when I got there, it was this. You're working for the government. Were you in the military?
No.
Okay. So if we had, I'm gonna tell you, we had access to anything the military had at the bases. We could get anything. So we had airplanes, helicopters. I mean, we got a few airplanes, helicopters. You could get vehicles, but they were surplus on the military base. And we would go there and get it and bring it and use it for TVA, which is part of the government. So
Yeah.
that was good. But when I went there, we were probably having 40 to 50 auctions a year. This is in the early 80s. Every year. Anywhere from, we could have 20, we could have one year, I think the most we had was maybe 50 some, almost 60 auctions.
Surplus stuff.
Yeah, millions of dollars. Because they were building plants and then they, but you know what? Our office was downtown Chattanooga. So I had to go down to Chattanooga every day. And there was 500 purchasing agents. And long as I saw them coming in every day, I knew I had a job. Because guess what?
Something was going to have to
They
need to
were
be-
buying stuff every day.
That was bizarre, wasn't it?
They were purchasing agents. So I knew, hey, as long as I see those people here, I'm going to be selling stuff. I mean, it was unreal. We'd go to auctions and then, so I grew up in the auction business. My uncle was an auctioneer, and before he got into the auction business, we loved the car auctions. We would go, all my brothers are auctioneers except one. There's 5 of us, 4 of them are auctioneers.
So he was hiring, your uncle was getting y'all to help him with the auctions.
My uncle was in the auction business back in Carolina selling farms and.
But y'all were helping him, y'all would help him
we
there.
would help him. I would go back home during school and help him make money and come back, you know.
You saw that as the easier job, the easier way to make a living, I guess, right?
Well, I always knew I wanted to be an auctioneer. Everybody at school knew I was going to be an auctioneer because I'd go over there at the country club and I'd be practicing, you know, hammer the dollars on the peg, put it on the money, hammer the dollars, sold, 75. You know, and I said, I'm going to be an auctioneer one day. And so when I graduated, I went to auction school, which I said, what's the best auction school? They said Mendenhall, which is in North Carolina. We got a school right here in Nashville, you know. So I went to Mendenhall, got my license, not licensed, but I was ready for license because I qualified. I went to school for 2 weeks. And then that's all it requires. How many, 80 hours or whatever they had. And when I came back, I said, I found out you got to have a sponsor. You just can't be an auctioneer. You got to be an apprentice, kind of like a real estate.
Oh.
You can't be a broker right off. You got to be an apprentice.
Because you are a real estate agent. You're a real estate agent at that point, I guess, right?
Well, I knew I was going to sell real estate one day because me and Tim and the other guy that we roomed with, we started buying rental property in Cleveland. So I said, I'm going to get my real estate license because if I see something, I'm going to write my own contract. I ain't calling nobody.
Yeah.
So you know what? I went to Cleveland State. You know who taught?
Stony Brooks.
Yes, sir.
I was in his class. Boy, wasn't he a good teacher?
He was a great teacher, and I liked Stoney.
I liked Stony.
I did too. I took his class, passed him, went and took the state, and nobody told me I had to take the, the state part. There's a real estate part, and then you got a state part that tells you if you're in this violation, how many days you get fined, 30 days,
Yeah.
15. It's a little handbook. Nobody gave me that. So I went to take the test. I passed the other one, but I said, what's this? They said, that's the other part. Well, I didn't know nothing. I failed it.
Yeah, I'm
So
sure.
I had to get the manual, and I memorized all them dates and all, you know. I came back and I got it. So I had my real estate license. I said, where Mama put them? I don't know nobody in this town. And lo and behold, a guy was at our church. You probably remember this. A guy, Roger Gupton. He started a Ward Realty.
Didn't he own that building where the old next to the
Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's right there where
Yeah.
Marshall
Well-
Box is now.
Wasn't he? Was that his? Wasn't Marcia Botts' mother married to him?
No. He came from Minnesota, I think.
I think he owned that building next to Little Old Fort Inn, the one down on Inman Street, off Inman.
I'm not sure what he owned, but he had about 200 apartments. Not him, but investors. I didn't know anything about it. And he saw me at church. He said, I need to talk to you. And I thought, why does this real estate dude want to talk to me? So I went to his office. He said, I'm going to offer you a job. I said, what kind of job? He said, you be my property manager. I said, I don't know nothing about property management. I've had houses, but I do my own stuff, you know. He said, I want you to manage these properties. So I did.
Were you working for TBA then?
No.
Hadn't got there yet?
That was
That was
I had
later.
not got there, yeah. This is all before, because I'm trying to be an auctioneer.
Yeah.
I said, we're going to start an auction company at your real estate company. I'm trying to find my niche. That's hard to do, you know, especially a young auctioneer.
You didn't necessarily want to show houses and bathroom colors and that sort of stuff.
I've never been that type.
Yeah.
The only way I sold a house, if my friend called me and he said, Kim, I want that house right there. I want that house. So, okay, I'll write the contract.
Yeah.
Now, going around showing people houses and all, I tried that a couple of days. I said, I'm not doing this. I'm out. I didn't have time anyhow, Dee, because I had about 200 apartments. I was trying to figure out, hey, if I cut some of these grasses, I can make extra money.
Yeah.
If I do this, I had to get me a good maintenance man. You know, I had to get all this mess lined up because something was breaking all the time.
All of it, like that,
All the time.
like I had this morning.
Yeah. So I started noticing how this stuff worked, and I thought, man, that's a good deal there. Ooh, boy, that guy got a steal there, you know.
Yeah.
Because I knew what they paid for it. I said, I'm going to do this one day. But I got to get some money, and I got to have somebody to give me some money because I'm fresh out of college. I don't have no money, man. I got to pay a school bill now.
Yeah.
You know?
Did you have that on the loan, the school loan?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And these people griping about paying school bills.
Yeah.
That's full of it. Man, grow up. Please, grow up. I'm going to tell them, grow up. Because it took me 10 years. You can ask any of our buddies. It took 10 years. You want a 10-year plan.
Just a little bit every month.
It was like $90, but $90 then
Yeah.
back in 1980 was like $600
Yeah.
or maybe $1,000. I thought, how am I going to pay that and pay this and that?
200 rentals, you'll have 3 maintenances a day.
Oh, God, it was a list.
Plus, when they come in and pay, they want to talk for 5 minutes, 10
and
minutes.
tell you what was wrong with the apartment.
What? Oh, yeah, especially
You know
around
what
the
I mean?
first.
Yeah.
First of the month, you got a lot of maintenance.
If they go shell out money, they gonna tell you definitely what's wrong.
I wish they'd called during the month instead of at the first week of the month.
So that's how I said I'm gonna get into rentals one day, but I got to get money first, you know. So I got the job at TVA, and they pay really good. They got great benefits, and I'm just a hustler. That we talked about this earlier.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm not satisfied here. Even though I got the gravy job, I look at, this is no offense to people at the government, but I call them flatliners. They just go through life like this. Mm-hmm. You got good people there, and I had great people. But for me, I'm not a flatliner. I'm not satisfied.
My nerves get bad.
I don't know what it is in me, but I got to. So you know what I did? I got a job at Appleton Horse Auction.
Oh yeah, I used to go there.
Yeah.
Well, it was a great. Boy, they used to have the best ham sandwiches, didn't they?
They had good hamburgers, everything. So I knew the guy down there, and he said, "Hey, you want?" One of the guys told me, said, "You want to learn how to sell tack?" I said, "What's that?" I knew what it was, but I said, "What does that involve?" He said, "Well, we got this guy that brings a trailer and this jam full of all kind of tack, horse tack." And I said, "Okay, what do you do?" He said, "You get up there and auction it off. It'll really." So that's what I did. I sold tack.
What was that? Friday night and Saturday night they had that auction.
I think it was on Saturday night.
Yeah.
So I sold tack, but I always liked the car auction. So I got a job. J.T. Hahn helped me get a job up there. I told him, said, "Help me get on the airport auto auction up in Knoxville." It was on Wednesday nights, and that was a good night for me. I could get away.
Yeah.
So I went up, talked to the guy. He came down to Chattanooga. He knew what I was doing. I said, it was on Thursday nights, that's it. And most of our, well, let me see. It might have been a Tuesday night. Whatever night it was, it worked out for me because most of our auctions were on Thursday, and we were gone. We leave out on Wednesday, and we do our auction on Thursday, and we come back Friday morning or afternoon. And because we traveled 7 states, you know, TVAs.
Yeah.
But he told me he was going to hire me, so I sold cars up there. And I wanted to do that because I was used to the car auction, and my brothers were too. So later on, I met this guy through TVA. He was one of our bidders. He was a wealthy guy from Chattanooga. And I found out what he owned. Have you ever heard of a place called Sadisco?
No.
Okay, let me tell you what it was. Sadisco, if you wrecked your car, this is back in the 80s and 90s, you know, if you wrecked your car within a 50-mile radius of Chattanooga, probably 50-mile radius, somewhat like, it went to that company, Sadisco, and they auctioned those cars off once they clear them all out, you know, with the insurance and all. So I went on that lot. He said, he told me one day, he said, "Why don't you come down here? I got an older guy from Nashville. He's my auctioneer. He's going to retire. He'd teach you how to sell them cars." I said, "Well, I got a regular job." He said, "It won't take you about an hour a day." Well, we used to work. They wouldn't pay us overtime, but they gave us what they call comp time. You heard of that?
Yeah, where you can get off later.
You just build up a bunch of time and you can build up. So I told my boss, "Hey, I want to take off on every other Wednesday, 2 times a month for about 2 hours." Fine. I had the time build up, so I was fine. So I go over there, and that old guy would teach me. He let me sell a few, and then he sell most of them. Then he let me sell, and I was getting used to how they were building and the numbers, because everything's in quarter half 75. You know, there's no $15 bids. There's no
Quarter half 75.
Everything's quarter half, so it'd be 100, 100 and quarter. You just stand up there and you start them out 100 and quarter, half, 75, give me the 2, 2 and a quarter, half, I bid, give me the half, 75, sold, 275, buyer number 10. Next one. You just roll along.
What's the point in talking fast?
To get it over, because you got a lot of cars.
So it's a speed thing. Otherwise, you'd be there for 5 hours.
You be there all day, plus it gets the people excited.
It'll do that.
Absolutely. You seen people at the auctions.
I've never heard you always hear a rumor of, they had a buy bidder, they had this, they had that. I've never heard that on your auctions.
No,
Not
sir.
even a rumor.
No, sir.
Not that others were doing that, but you'd hear the rumors, but I've never heard that on your auctions.
Well, that's a good thing. But see, when I left TVA, I'm going to tell you how I left. And let me go ahead and tell you that. When I left, though, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, we had our investigators, private investigators, they call them inspector generals, within TVA. Mm-hmm. You don't know who they are. They could come to our auction and be a bidder or sign up to be. We didn't know who they were, because we had people not right in our office and they got escorted out, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
because of what they were doing. But I was just brought up, hey, if I tell you it's raining, you better have an umbrella. I don't care if you see the sun shining, it's going to rain on you. You better have an umbrella. And I was honest, and I've been around money where I sold stuff. It's not my money. So I didn't bother. I didn't take it. And when I went to auction, I learned to get the price. If I was negotiating with you, to say, okay, Dee, what do you want for this house? And you go, I think it's worth, I'm just throwing out numbers. Just to say 200,000. I said, man, I think it's going to bring 150. I was a good appraiser because my boss made us go to appraisal school. We had to appraise everything we sold. It's not like we went out there and we didn't know what we were selling like most auctioneers. That I've been around them. They couldn't tell you what.
So you knew ahead of time about what you thought it'd bring.
I was the top one. I got promoted to the top auctioneer quick because I knew how I could look. I just had a gift. I could look at 500 lots at the auction, and we go down through there. Here's how we operated. We would go the day before or 2 or 3 days before and look at 500 lots on an auction, and we go down through there and people. There was 4 of us auctioneers. Most of the time it was 3, and then the guy we were selling for, which, he was the guy at TVA.
Yeah.
And we walk through and we go, how much is this gonna bring? We go, some of them guys, they go, okay, that pallet's gonna bring $75. And somebody go, it's gonna bring 150. And then they look at me and I go, that's 125 right there. Bam, that's what it brings. We bet all the time. I wasn't a gambler, but I always won.
Yeah.
I was just blessed. I was just not bragging. I was just blessed. So I would look at it. So it's the same thing with real estate. I mean, I know what it's going to bring. I got a ballpark, and I put them in that zone. And I said, can you live with this? Yes. So if I get the low point, if we have a nuclear war, this is what it's going to bring. I mean, if they bomb us, we can still have the auction. This is what it's going to bring. If we go to the auction and it's really going good, this is what it's going to bring.
So you're not giving them an unrealistic.
No, they give you the unrealistic number already.
And if you don't sell it at the auction, it's always a bad auction if it didn't sell. You know what I'm saying?
It's terrible. I just had one. That restaurant I had in Athens, it didn't sell, and I hate that because I thought I wanted the numbers to be 250 and 300, and they were dead set on 325. And guess what it brought? 300. And the guy wouldn't budge. He wouldn't come out 325, and that guy wouldn't give. I tried for 2 days.
Just wouldn't do it.
Would not do it. It's not over yet. But, it's never over.
You're still trying, right?
I'm still trying because I thought I should have sold it. Somebody should have broke. Give me 315. Let's put the deal together. But what we talking? Appraising. So we had to go to appraisal school, and then they sent us. One thing about it, the government will train you like crazy.
Yeah.
I was very blessed.
It was a good path, wasn't it?
I'm going to tell you, I was getting in my destiny. I didn't know it. But, I prayed and I said, God, help me. I want to get it. I don't feel comfortable where I didn't feel satisfied at TVA. I knew it was something else down the road.
Plus, you'd come from a sawmill.
Yeah.
It's just 2 different things.
Yeah. I didn't want to never go back.
Did you struggle with quitting?
Quitting where?
TVA.
No, I was going to tell you, when I went to Sadisco, I started thinking, I thought, man, this is a flat out gold mine. And Mannheim, my brother was a manager up in Detroit for Mannheim, and they were just getting into salvage cars. And I don't know how you were brought up. Well, we were brought up to pray. Mm-hmm. Just ask God, help me. Mm-hmm. What do I do? Mm-hmm. Lead me, show me what to do. That's just all I know to tell you.
That's what we were brought up, yeah.
Yeah. So I said, God, what do I do? I'm learning about Sadisco, and I learned if you had State Farm, you had it all. Because if you got State Farm, all the other insurance companies would follow State Farm. So if you had an auction with State Farm cars only, you could get to other people. Well,
Yeah.
you know where I went then. TBA, it was around 2000. It was crazy times because they didn't know what was going to happen. They offered people, you want to get out? We don't know what's going to happen. The world could blow up. You remember then?
Yeah, that was
Y2.
the Y2, yeah.
Yeah, it was the craziest time, 2000. I had almost 20 years with my sick leave and all this stuff. And they made me a good deal, and they said, you can leave if you want to. Well, I said, I think I'm going to leave.
So they said you said you thought you would go ahead and just leave then.
I thought I'd take the package.
Yeah.
You know, because I had been talking at the time. It was a businessman here in town. You know who he is, Toby.
Toby, yeah.
He had, I didn't know him, never met him. And I had a vision, Dee, to start a salvage auto auction. Because in my heart and spirit, I felt like 5 years from now, 2005 is the year, there's going to be a company come here. I don't know who they are yet, but they going to buy up every salvage company in America. They going to swoop them up because it's big. It's a monster business. I'm telling you.
Everybody's got one.
You got to have one somewhere because it's thousands of cars being wrecked every day. You go up there, I'll tell you where this place is. You'll know exactly. So I said, I'm going to take the package. And I made a deal with McKenzie. And I said, let's get this started. Well, we worked on it. He had his people working on it. He had the contacts. He had all the contacts. You know that.
I think I was working for him at the time.
Really?
I think.
Well, I didn't last there but about 6 months. I didn't know all the stuff going on in his companies and going on with.
Different operation.
I didn't know anything about it. I was just hearing stuff when I got there, and that was not good. I thought, man, I don't know if this is going to work out. Well, I think it lasted about 6 months, and I thought, what in the world am I going to do? You know, I was out then.
You done left your job.
I left my job, a good job, paying money. I got 2 girls fixing to go to college.
Golly.
I got a house mortgage, and I was in a bind.
Describe your feeling.
Hopeless, almost. Not hopeless, not to the point where, hey, but I probably bugged my brothers and my mother and daddy to death. Please pray for me. I got to find something. I got to get something going on. I'll tell you what I did. When I retired, then I went there, and then I made a deal with Bender to sell. I said, we'll sell real estate, you know, at auction. Well, that's when I had my first $1 million sale.
That was after the Toby stint.
Yes, sir. I made a deal with Jim. But Dee, I'm still looking my destiny. I'm still not in it. And Jim, he's probably still mad at me today. And I tell him, Jim, I'm sorry, but you didn't understand where I was coming from at the time.
He probably understands now if he didn't.
Well, he's going to see, if he sees this, he'll understand that. I had not got in my destiny, and his place was not it. You know, I'm going somewhere with this. You'll find out when you see it. So I made a deal with him. We had our first, that was big time back then. In the 2000, have $1 million sale? Nobody was doing it. It was the Saggy Farm. That's the first time I met really Alan Jones, because he's the one that bought it.
Was that on Dalton Pike?
No, it was kind of out that way. It was it was on where the Coca-Cola farm is, the guy, Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
Farm. It's across behind Buckner. What's that, Buchanan School?
Yeah, Bachman home.
Bachman,
yeah.
Okay. So I sold that farm. It brought just a little bit over $1 million. That was big time back then, man. You know what we charged, 10%.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
That was a huge amount for me. I thought, okay, I'm gonna make it.
Yeah.
Well, that rolled along, and I thought, I got to have something else besides this real estate. I'm not going to sell a house. So I left Jim and I went to Keller Williams, Steve Black. And Steve, he'll have to get over it too because that wasn't my destiny. You know,
Auctioneers don't usually mesh with real estate companies, houses. It's just two different things.
It is.
It's two different
And
things.
the real estate agents don't understand.
It's two different things, two different buyers, two different products.
It is.
It's just different.
You're exactly right, Dee. And I tried to explain stuff, but it just didn't work out. You know, we're friends. We go to church together. And I don't have, you know, it's just I was not in my destiny. And so Odessa, you ever heard of that company?
No.
They went, you seen it up there in Knoxville on the left, coming out of Knoxville. It was a big car auction called Odessa, right there at Lenoir City. Mm-hmm. Well, they hired me to work for them out of Atlanta. So I went to work for them, and we had some great auctions because I had contacts at TVA, and I knew subcontractors at TVA, and we did auctions in Texas, and we did big equipment, and, you know, and I was doing good with them. And then they changed management. When anytime they change management, you're on the bottom.
You never know.
You don't know what's going to happen. It just didn't work out, and the guy come in and said, it ain't going to work out. Well, good. I went back home. I thought, what am I going to do now? My brother got me on at the car auction, so I did car auctions for 10 years. This is the hardest thing probably I ever done. It's great experience, but I was a car auctioneer. You ever heard of program cars? Mm-hmm. It's like GM program.
Yeah.
You can't get in that auction unless you're a GM dealer,
Like a real dealer.
like what's the guy, Leopard.
Yeah.
I was trying to think, I remember him. They used to come to auctions. I used to sell to them. We have 300 cars to sell that day. These were GM, what they call program cars, which the employees at GM and executives drove those cars. And I worked for GM. We would say, here's how it worked. My brother, me, and another, 3 auctioneers, 2 lanes. We sell 50 and off 50. I'm telling you, it's the craziest thing you ever seen.
Golly.
You had to know prices. Your mind had to be sharp as a tack. You had to know prices. You had to get up there on the block, and it had to be so fast. It was just calling numbers so fast. You had so many bidders. And then they were on the internet back then. So you had
watch the internet.
The internet would outrun you because you have 200 people on the internet or 300 or 100 and they'd be there going like this right here. How can you keep up with that, Harley? I mean, that light was flashing on that screen, this red, green, yellow, pink. They were all different colors because they were bidding. And then you're trying to keep up with people in the crowd too.
I work for these people, and they'll say, "Oh, we can't do that today. We've got to go to the online auction." Even they have to be in the zone.
Yeah.
Even looking at it online.
Well, I'd fly back home. I was in an airplane when they hit the towers.
I was at John Kender's.
I wasn't in the airplane. I was on the auction block. I had flown out that morning at 6 o'clock that morning from Atlanta. And I was up on the auction block. My brother said, "You're not going home today." I said, "Why?" He said, "We're about to go to war." War? Boy, it took me 2 days to get home driving.
Golly. Yeah, because they wouldn't let nobody fly after that for a while.
You couldn't even hardly get on the interstate. It was so packed out. And gas went 3 or 4 times higher. It was robbing. They were robbing people.
I think some of them got in trouble for that.
They did. They sure did. But I remember, I was trying to get home, and I had a car in Atlanta, and there was a dealer from Alabama, and we tried to get home. I said, "Look, man, if you can get me close to Atlanta," he said, "I'll take you to the airport, but I got to go to Alabama down 59. He come right by here, but I had to go to Atlanta. I was in a mess. But anyhow, I worked there for several years, and then I went, Manheim finally made me a deal. So I went worked for Manheim. That's where I met your brother because I rented an office from Toby in that bank building where your brother worked.
Oh, yeah.
That's how
Athens Federal.
That's
It
right.
became Old National Bank. That's
I had an office on the 3rd floor.
it's
And
not the same bank.
It's not.
It's not the same bank.
That guy that was the president was nice. And
Oh, he was nice. Oh, Jay
and your-
Liggett.
Yeah, Jay.
Yeah, Jay was the
And your
greatest.
brother, what's his?
Bo.
Bo, yeah,
Yeah,
Bo,
yeah.
man, he was my buddy.
But they
I
sold
see
the
him
Old
every day.
National Bank.
Huh?
They sold the Old National Bank now.
Really?
Yeah, it's not the same.
Well, you know where they were. I mean, it's right down the road. It's right up down the
Yeah,
street.
right
It's
here.
right over
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Right. Yeah, my bearings are, yeah, it's right over here. Well, I was on the 3rd floor, and Mannheim was paying me. They said, you come over here and auction every
So
Tuesday.
you had an office up there?
Yeah,
See, I did that 3rd floor for Toby, I believe, for Olin.
yeah.
I read
Olin
it-
was not, they were on the 4th.
They were on the 4th. I redid the 4th.
Yeah.
Was Toby on the 5th?
Toby was on the top.
I guess the 5th.
Yeah. I didn't ever go up there.
You know, I
did
was-
when he left, but I didn't go up there. I was the only one
There
on
wasn't nothing on the 4th, but I guess just you.
3rd.
3rd, yeah.
Nobody was there but me. I had 3 offices rented. It was good. But nobody was in the bank. It was all wide open.
What would you do? What was your job?
Go around and get auctions. We had a few auctions, but still wasn't in my destiny, Dee, so
Did you just feel uncomfortable?
I felt real uncomfortable because I thought, God, what do you want me to do? What is it you want me to do? So you know what I did?
What?
I just kind of, well, Mannheim forced me out because they said, we're shutting down this department. They were shutting down their auctions because they had too many. You know, they're the biggest in the world. Mm-hmm. So they were shutting down the auction where I worked in Nashville because they built a new facility. So the people in this old one, they already had that new one running, so they had the people they wanted already in place. So they said, we're doing away with everybody here. They just shut down they had 2 auctions there. One of them was in downtown Nashville where people were used to. It was older auction. Then they had a new one out on Interstate 40 or 65. I'm not sure where it was at.
How long was you with Mannheim right on that floor?
Probably a couple of years, maybe longer. No, it wasn't over 2 years.
Were you glad to cancel that?
Yeah, because not at the time, because it was income for me. And I had a great deal with them. I got a salary plus anything I done, I got 50%.
Yeah.
That was a good deal.
Yeah.
I could go get a sale and make good money. Plus I had, it was just good for me. I mean, I was making good money. I had a good salary plus benefits.
Well, I never liked being so subject to somebody's whims or what they're going to do next.
Well, see, working at the government, that's the way it was too. It changed when anybody changed, president or anybody, you know. I had a good reputation there, and I knew everybody. I didn't know everybody, but I knew a tremendous amount of people because of what I did. And the higher-ups knew who I was.
If you had to do it all over again, would you just stay?
I'm not really sure because what happened to me next, I wouldn't stay because I'm a lot better off.
What happened after Mannheim?
I finally just said, okay, what do I do? And I started Stone Brothers Auction.
Were you just going to go out and hunt just like?
I was going to go out. I said, I'm doing this. God, you help me. I'm going to do this. And
Katie barred the door?
I was already a realtor and I was working. Where was I working? I forgot where I was working, and a rich client from Chattanooga called me and said, hey, we got a piece of property we want to sell. We need you to come down and talk to us about it. So it was a financial planner guy. And he called me up one day because this lady that I knew, church association, they said, he can help you. And we were in this big fancy place, man, you know how.
Yeah.
And they said, we got a piece of property for sale. And they pushed me to folder, we went big old table, and I was sitting down here, they were all down here. I thought, what? No, they pushed that thing down there to me. Said, we want you to sell this property, but we don't want nobody to know about it. I said, okay. What is it? They said, a mobile home park. I said, okay, what do you want for it? 1.5 million. I said, okay. Would you take 1.2 million? And they said, yes, we'd take 1.2.
Well,
I don't know why I said that. The reason, you know why I said that?
why?
You know that property up there on across from Denny's used to be up there at Cleveland State, turn left, go to Cleveland State?
Yeah.
I sold that. You remember that?
To Bruce Renner?
Bruce Renner sold it to a friend of mine in Knoxville. The day he bought it,
Bruce flipped it that day.
sure did. He sold it. He bought it. Called this boy from Knoxville.
Ted Moss was right behind it trying to buy it.
This boy from Knoxville came down and bought it. He was here. I know him. He was a client of mine. Mm-hmm. He said, Kim, I'm over here. I just bought. You know Bruce Renner? I said, yes, sir. He said, I just bought this piece of property. Get over here. You go sign an auction contract. We go sell this property. I'm going to bust it up and sell it. That's exactly what we did.
And he did. I remember.
You know what he made?
What?
He made 1.2 million.
And Bruce made like 400, didn't he?
Yeah, but this guy made, I know, he made.
Ben ended up with the corner, right?
Yeah, being more.
Yeah.
But that's when I first met him. I didn't know him. He bought it. That's
So
right.
why did you say, so here you are, you left your job, you theoretically don't have a job,
Yeah.
you got the opportunity to have an auction, and you're offering to buy something for $1.2 million.
I didn't offer to buy it. I wanted to know would they take 1.2.
Oh.
I couldn't buy it.
Oh,
But and for some reason, 1.2 was stuck in my head because I knew that guy had made 1.2. And they said, yeah, we'll take 1.2. And I said, no problem. I got a buyer for you. I'll see you later. So I called the guy up. He said, yeah, his partner. He said, yeah, we're interested in that. I said, man, the income looks good on this thing. It's had problems. It was the manager's, it was a house, 2 houses on there, and he was making meth, and the city busted him, the FBI or everything.
perfect time to buy.
Yeah, and they tore the house down. It's all clean now, and it's older people in that mobile home park. It's a good park. It was owned by some elderly people, and they died, and they left it to the son, and the son, he died, and now the wife had it, and
She don't want it.
she don't want no part of it.
And the finance company wants it gone.
Well, they didn't know nothing.
Yeah.
They were all rich.
Yeah.
They were wealthy people and super nice people. So I said, I'll call you back. I got a buyer. See y'all. I called that guy up, told him. I said, hey, I got this property. He said, look, I'm going to Florida. When I get back, I'm looking at that mobile home park. I think I want it. I said, okay, go to Florida with Dee. I go home. Do you pray?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I do. I got a place. A guy taught me, he said, look, you get you a prayer room and titles will change. I said, I need some titles changed. Things will change. That's what he said. Mm-hmm. Your title. Mm-hmm. Different things will happen.
God wants you to talk to him, not just pray. Does that make sense?
He wants you to converse.
Yeah.
Not that you go have a conversation like this, but he'll speak through his word. You know that. And you get these impressions in your gut. So I'm praying one day, I go, okay, God, I got this mobile home park. This would be really good money for me. I really need this deal done. I take the folders like this and I lay them down. I got a big recliner there and that's my altar, and I lay it down and go, I'm not sitting there, you're sitting there. I'm presenting this deal to you. And it's like, I ain't hear no voices or nothing. Don't think I'm crazy. It's like, you buy it. And I said, I can't buy that mobile home park. He said, yeah, I'm getting these impressions like, I'm going to give you favor with that lady, and I'm going to give you favor. He said, didn't I see earlier, I was impressed when I was making a little money. Didn't have no money hardly. But it's like, how many banks in town? I said, there's 7. I counted them. 7 different banks, probably more than that now. But at the time I was doing it, it was 7 banks. And it was like, go to each one of them banks and put $1,000 into savings in every one of these banks somewhere. So I did. And it rocked along for several months. And it was like, now, go check your statements, see who pays the best. Because I didn't have no relationships with banks. I mean, the only guy I borrowed money, because we had credit union at TVA, and
Yeah.
I borrowed some money from John Hale, but he was not at banking at the time.
Yeah.
He was retired.
Yeah.
So I didn't have no relationships. I didn't know nobody, just owed my house, that's it. And that was already taken care of through, you know how the bank,
Yeah.
they get it today, it's sold within an hour. So I said, where was I at? I lost my train of thought.
So you decided to buy it.
Yeah, it was like, the bank. So who's paying the most interest? And I looked, and it was Southern Heritage. So I took all my money out, which was hardly, $1,000. It
Yeah.
was like $7,000, $6,000. I put it in the bank over there at Southern Heritage. And I started going in that bank every day, deposit. I didn't know anybody there. And I got to know Lee, and I got to know Tim, Potee, and I went in one day when that mobile home came. It was like, you buy it. And I thought, I'm praying. It's like, you buy it. And I said, I can't buy it. I don't have the money. It's like, I'll give you a favor. It's like, I need a partner.
I need 400,000, not a favor.
Huh?
You need 400,000.
You needed 100. She wanted 1.2 million.
Yeah, but 20% down.
You got to have 400 some thousand.
That's right. So how you figure on getting it?
Well, I went down there to Lee, and I had the folder with me. I said, Lee, I know you don't know me, and we introduced. I said, but I need help. This is a deal I want to do. And I sat down and showed him. I said, look at this income. I said, look what it can do. I said, right now it's only half full because it has some problems. But I said, I know what it do. I don't know nothing about mobile home parks, but I do know about rentals. And all I need to do is get it rented, And he looked at the financials on it, and he said, now what are you planning on offering this lady? I said, I'm going to give her $450,000 cash, and you go help me get it. He said, let me tell you something. If you can buy this place for $450, go right now and buy it, and I'm going to give you every bit of the money. I said, okay, I'm gone. I called that lady up. I said, hey, well, I forgot her name, but I said, meet me at your house. They had a house on there, big, nice brick house where her in-laws lived. It was empty. And I said, meet me at your house and bring your daughter. She's a lawyer. I said, bring your daughter as a witness. I said, I want to buy your mobile home park. I want somebody there to witness this. I'm going to make you an offer. And she said, you know what? Me and my daughter were talking, and we want you to buy it. I said, okay, meet me down there. You see, I already felt him. I'm going to give you a favor. Favor with the bank?
That's a big favor.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a favor with the seller. I went in there. We were sitting in their house. I said, look, I'm fixing to make you an offer. I told her straight. I said, look, you probably won't like it, but it's what I can do. I want to buy your mobile home park. And I'm going to hit you this is the way we talk. I said, I'm going to hit you below the waist. I said, I'm going to offer you $450,000. And she looked at her daughter. I don't know what all they said, but she said, will you give me $20,000 more? I had that at home. I said, you know what I told her?
What?
Yes, ma'am. I said, I'll give you that in cash. Or I said, I don't know what I said, but I said, I'll pay you.
Yeah.
I came back and I said, give me 60 days to get everything straight. And I bought that mobile home park. George McCorn closed it. He called me out after he was in there closing. He said, hey, Kim, come. You know how he does.
Yeah. Yeah.
He took me out and he said, I don't understand how you do this. I said, do what? He said, you bought $1 million park for $450,000. I said, I know. He said, how you do this kind of stuff? I said, it's called favor of God.
That's the only thing you attribute it to.
It's not me. It's the favor of God. So I bought that in 2010. And then I had to have another company, Stone Rentals. I said, I'm going to call it Stone Rentals. I call it Stone Mobile Home Park, but I operate under Stone Rentals. Okay? So I started that other company, Stone Rentals. And that's where that name come from. And so I got the park cleaned up. I rented every space in there. And I'm going to show you something.
Was it in Chattanooga?
Yes, sir. On Dayton Boulevard. You know where Gad Road is?
Yep.
You go off Gad Road, come down Dayton Boulevard, turn right, and it's down there on the left. You know where it's at?
Yeah, I know right where it's at. Doc Hollywood lives over there.
I'm going to show you this right here. That's why I wanted to bring it. At the time, I owned everything in the blue. That was the house. This is all mobile home park. These two lots right here are owned by her cousin. And she had a son, and I used to see him because we had to go there on the first because everybody got government checks. And you had to be there on the first, so you didn't get your money.
Right.
You got to be there to get your money, and he was there collecting his money on these two, and I would be there collecting all these people. And I told God, I said, if I ever had to bring a gun down here, that's the day I'm selling this place. Because I'm not carrying a gun, because knowing me, I'll shoot somebody.
Yeah, you use it.
Yeah, I would use it. And I said, I'm not going to shoot nobody. I don't want to kill nobody, so I'm not carrying a gun. I never did. I might have carried one time, but I had all kind of crazy people in there. I mean, it was just a lesson. And
It's drama, isn't it? Drama.
I helped so many people in there. I mean, they would be short $50. I let them slide, but they finally paid me, you know. I felt sorry for people. They were all on fixed incomes, most of them. You know, a government check. And I call it Gunsmoke City. You watch Gunsmoke all day. Okay, that's fine.
And they got that's all they do, isn't it?
Most of them. I thought, okay, you could hear the TV running 3 trailers away.
It's just a different lifestyle.
So, this is what's fascinating. I tried to buy these mobile home parks. I offered the lady a good price, but she wouldn't take it. Nice lady. And I seen her son collecting. We go, hey, how you doing? But one day I got a phone call, and they said, hey, did you know that mobile home park is selling at the courthouse next Thursday because of delinquent taxes for 4 years?
God.
You know, they'd take you property.
Oh, yeah. They'll do it for real.
I called her up and I said, what in the world's going on? I tried to buy that from you. Why are you letting this sell? I said, that ain't gonna happen. Nobody's buying that from right beside me for a tax sale.
Yeah.
And she said, well, what you gonna give me? I said, I don't have a clue right now. Right now, we got to figure out a way how we gonna stop this auction because it's gonna sell next week. I called Travis Henry. I said, Travis, help me. I'm going down. I got to pay. What do I need to do? He said, first get it under contract. D, you know what I done?
What?
I took my contract. Right here it is. That's why I brought it, so you'll see it. It's unbelievable. I'm going to show it to you. My contract's on an auction contract, which is 1 page. I can either sell or negotiate on it. It don't matter.
Yeah.
So I filled out all the information. I did not have a price on there. I laid it on my altar that night. I said, God, you're going to have to put a price because that lady, I said, I'm going to meet you tomorrow. Meet me tomorrow morning at Panera Bread at Northgate at 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock, whatever time I told her, I forgot. And bring your son because I want him to be a witness what I'm fixing to do. And I said, I'm going to buy it. Well, what are you going to pay? I said, I don't know. I'll let you know tomorrow. I don't have a clue right now. I said, okay, God, here's my contract. When I wake up tomorrow morning, there's going to be a price in there.
What happened?
I got up, no price. I said, what's going on? It's 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I said, there's no price. It was like, read your devotion today. Boy, I tore over there on my side. I got my devotion book out. It was Jeremiah 32. It talked about Jeremiah buying a piece of land. And
Golly, what are the odds?
it ain't no odds. It's God Almighty itself. I'm testifying here. I mean, this stuff is real. I don't care. People call me crazy. I say, you crazy. I know what I'm doing. I know where I'm going.
So you just happened to think of Jeremiah 32?
No, it was my devotion. I got a devotion
Oh,
book.
it just happened to be the one.
It just happened to be that day, Jeremiah 32. It talks about Jeremiah buying a field. He said, you're free. Listen to this. It talks about how he was free to buy this land. Boy, I felt a release then. I felt, hey, I'm going to buy this piece of land. And I made the statement. You know how you get this?
Yeah.
I said, whatever Jeremiah paid, that's what I'm going to pay. I don't care if it costs $1 million.
Well, it wouldn't have been $1 million.
Well, I didn't care.
Yeah.
If it had been $2 million,
What Jeremiah paid?
Guess what he paid? I got it written down. He paid, go check it out, 17 shekels of silver.
How much is that?
I didn't know. I flipped out. I thought, I don't have time for all this. I just need a number. I got to meet this guy. I got to meet this lady. I looked it up, put it into, it's 17 shekels. What I figured that day was 7 ounces of silver. And 7 ounces of silver. I bought this park in 2016.
So you're figuring out how much silver was worth.
That's what that park was worth.
Which was how much?
$102.88.
Golly.
I bought that park for that. Look at that. You don't believe it? There's the contract.
Damn.
Look, let me tell you this, though. Now, here's the kicker. I said, she'll think I'm lost my mind. I'm crazy. She won't do this. And it was like, I'm telling you, Dee, I'm getting a download. I'm not hearing voices. Don't say that. It's in my gut feeling. I can just, it's like, I'm going to give you favor with this lady. It has nothing to do with money. It has everything about recovery. I'm an investment recovery specialist. Look at my card. What does it say?
Investment recovery specialist.
You know what I was recovering for her?
What?
She was in trouble with the city. She owed back taxes. She owed some kind of city lien that I didn't know about until we started digging in. Travis did. He said, you tell her, you go, this is the impressions I'm getting. You tell the lady, you go clear her name, you go clear her son, because he's on it too, and you go clear her daddy's name, because he was on it too. He had passed away, but his name was on there.
Yeah.
You go, think about this. This is powerful. You go clear 3 generations. Gone. Never again you had to worry about this.
And that was probably bothering her.
You know it was. Mm-hmm. Why would you let it get in that position anyhow? That's why people go, well, you took advantage. No.
Who knows? You can't.
The Bible says that he gave them 10 talents. One of them made money, the other one made money, the other one buried it. What happened? They took it away from me. You didn't do right, buddy. Your money's taken away. They didn't do right. They collected rent and didn't pay their taxes. That's not right. I'm not faulting them. I'm just saying it was a tragic thing for them, but they will go lose it. I went down there quick as I could. I got Travis. I said, I got this thing on contract. He said, go down there and pay the taxes.
He's going to charge you more to close it than it costs you to buy it.
Yeah. I went down and paid the taxes. I told her, I said, look, I paid the taxes, interest, I didn't care what it was. I said, I don't even know what it was. I said, I'll pay all the back taxes, and I'll pay that, it was called a municipal lien. It was $29,557.25. And the back taxes were $28,000. So I paid the taxes, $28,000, and I didn't have to pay that until you sell the park. You don't even have to pay that.
Oh.
That's just a cloud right now.
Just a cloud.
Just a cloud on the title.
Yeah. Does it keep increasing or does it stay the same?
No, I don't think it didn't increase because I'd have paid it off.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a free loan right now.
It's right now. It's money I don't have to spend until one day when somebody comes along and offers me a bunch of money, which is what happened.
Yeah.
I was sitting there one day. So I buy this park and I'm rocking along and I got those units now. So now I got this whole place right here.
The whole square.
Yeah. And I'm doing good with Stone Brothers. I'm going, hey, if I can do 6, my goal is to do 6 to 12 auctions a year. You know how I get auctions? I take my phone. I lay it on my altar every single morning. For years I've been on. And I say, okay, God, you make my phone ring. I don't have the money to go out here and spend Google search, have people go to my website. I ain't got time for all that. I want people to call me straight out. If they can't do business with me, forget it. They got to trust me. And that's what happened. I lay it down. I go, okay, God, make my phone ring. $1 million deals, man. You know how it is.
Mostly around here or Chattanooga?
Right
Chattanooga.
here, some in Chattanooga. I used to be in with the bankruptcy guys. I wished I could tell you the sale. That when I get a sale, it's going to be a sale most of the time. That's why I can't understand right now why that restaurant. Well, I do know because I didn't get it in that ballpark where I needed to be. I let it slide, but I thought this place might bring $350.
Well, it's hard to argue that right now because things do bring more than you're thinking right now. So that's
And you want it to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to be wrong every time for the good, not backwards, you know.
Yeah.
But I bought that park, and then I got a phone call in 2019. And everybody wanted to buy my park. That was like an everyday event. I just brushed it off, so they ain't for sale. And a dude called me and said, hey, buddy, I'm wanting to buy your park. And I said, yeah, you and a bunch of other people too. I ain't interested in selling. He said, I'll give you $2 million for it. I laughed at it. I said, yeah, right. I called my brother. I said, man, this dude, he's crazy. He offered me $2 million. He kept calling me though. He come down there. He was for real.
Huh.
Sure was. We finally made a deal. You know, when I got down there and met him, and, you know, that's what he offered, but when he got into it, he couldn't even get it appraised for that. You know, he had to borrow money.
Yeah.
So we had to settle on a good number, but I thought, man, it'd take me a long time to make this kind of money. So I finally sold it, and I said, I'm keeping the house back there. So I kept the house, and then I finally sold it. So it got back up almost right there near where he was at. And that's where I took off, man, and that's just rolled over. I started buying rental properties here, and I bought a cabin up there in Gatlinburg, and that was something else. That is crazy business there now. Renting out.
Oh, yeah. Airbnb or something like that?
Yeah, well, I had a company up there to lease it out, you know.
Does that do better than Airbnb like that, I guess?
Well, you know what? A friend of mine does it up in Gatlinburg, and me and him talked about it. He does good because him and his wife manage it themselves. I didn't have time to do that.
I don't want to get into all that.
I tried to do it a few days, and people call me. They rent, and they go, hey, this needs taken care of. Well, I'm down here. Gatlinburg's 2.5 hours away.
And you don't want to mess up their trip, you know, if they need something.
So I finally got you know what? I knew what that place made. I don't mind sharing it with you. It would make anywhere from $25,000 to could make $40,000. They said it would make 60, but if it did, they took the money, you know, by expenses.
Yeah.
You had the line items running clean off the sheet.
Yeah.
You know, it was just too much going on, too many moving parts. And if I got 30-some thousand or 35, I was lucky. And I thought, okay, it's not worth the headache to me. And the 2 doctors called me, this friend of mine, I didn't know him. In fact, I said, well, I'm going to keep doing this. And one came up for sale behind me, and I called the real estate guy. I said, hey, buddy, I own this one in front of you. I'm interested in buying the one behind, the one you got for sale. I said, how much is it? He said, $500,000. I said, man, that thing's a 2-bedroom. Mine's 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms. He said, yeah, I can sell yours too. I said, how much? And he said, probably $650,000. Well, that was a lot of money because I know what I paid for it. I thought, I couldn't make that kind of money in 10 years.
Then you got to pay taxes on it.
I did a 1031 exchange. So I went around and bought other stuff, and I went to North Carolina and bought stuff at my college town down there, and I bought some farms around the house and sold them. It just worked out for me. My uncle put me on several pieces of property. You know, he's the farm guru.
How long has it been since you purchased that that mobile home park?
I bought it in 2010.
So 14 years has been good to you.
9 years. I only had it 9 years. I sold it in
2014?
2010. I sold it in 2019.
But from the time you bought it,
Oh, it was good.
I mean, you was away from Mannheim and you were doing your own thing.
I was away from everybody. I knew I had to I thought I had to have my uncle to help me. I called him up and said, hey, be my partner in a mobile home park. He said, when I showed him the number, he said, yeah, good. And I called him up one day because it's like I was praying. He said, I didn't ask for no partners, it's just me and you, me and God. I don't need nobody else. I thought I needed somebody else because this is a $400,000 debt.
Oh, yeah.
That was a lot of money for me. I'd never been in debt like that. But the payment was like $33,000 something until Poteet just started at the bank, and he really didn't want to take me. We didn't know. He didn't know me, and I didn't know him. But Lee said, we are doing this. I told him, I said, look, you got my money, you got my house tied up. At the time, it was $500,000. Now Stanley's got it at $650.
Poor old Stanley, right?
It's called a lot of flack.
He called a lot of flack.
I feel sorry for him.
So let me ask you this, Kim. Do you feel like you're in your destiny now?
You know what? I really do. I really feel like
First, I want you to drink this coffee.
I'm not a coffee drinker, but
Just
I
drink a
try.
little bit. Yep.
Let me see here. That's good.
It's good, isn't it?
What kind?
It's just cheap coffee.
Is it?
Prison coffee.
Prison coffee. Campfire coffee.
Yeah, so you feel like you're there now?
Absolutely. I have put this thing to the test too many times. Let me tell you, I felt like that I've been an investment recovery specialist pretty much all my life, since I've been out of college. Working with TVA and working with other people, I've always said I'm an investment recovery. But that includes being an auctioneer. I'm a real estate broker. I'm my own broker. I can write deals. I got my own company. But I'm still an investment recovery specialist. What I do when I go see people, everybody that calls me, they want to recover. Think about this. They want to recover from something.
Yeah, something.
Something's bothering them. Something that's got them tangled up. Something's got them bind up. Something's got them pressed down. Something's got them, even when people, my college buddies that, they got houses here in town where their parents owned and they moved away and their parents died and they got their house and their stuff. I call it stuff. No disrespect.
Yeah.
I said, I ain't helping. I got a whole crew. I do something different. We have tag sales because they won't bring nothing at auction. That right there bring $20 if I put a tag on there and say $20. But if I take it to auction, it'll bring $2.
Or 20 cents.
Yeah, it won't bring nothing. I had to throw it in a box with a bunch of 25 more just like it. So I said, I'm going to have a tag sale, which other companies don't do. They won't do it. It's too much work.
What do you mean tag? Oh, you mean a price tag?
I go in, it's like an estate sale. You go in and you price everything in there. We go in, clean it up, stage it up, and do that. And I said, okay, y'all handle that. I'm going to sell the house. If I don't get the real estate, forget it. I'm not selling anything. I can't help you. There's no money involved. I don't know how these people make money, to be honest, doing it. They must enjoy doing it.
I think that's it. They just enjoy it.
Doing it. And it's the fun of finding stuff,
Like pickers.
Yeah, I used to be like, I had so much mess, and my wife said, you got to quit all this. You can't have all this.
You can't bring it home.
You can't have all this stuff. But I really do feel like that I'm in my destiny. And really what got me in the way I feel that way is because of something that I really started studying on recovery. And I found out right here, and it hit me like a ton of bricks, and I'm going to share it with you. So this is about recovery, what I found out in this area. And you may know this. I found out that the first recovery vehicle ever made was in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
What do you mean recovery vehicle?
I'm going to give you an example. 25 miles from here, East Brainerd, roughly 25 miles.
Yeah.
There was a man by the name of Ernest Holmes Company, downtown Chattanooga, in 1916. John Wilder was a well-known, you'll read about it. There's a museum downtown. Did you know that? You should go there. It's got the first, I'm going to tell you
Oh, you mean
about
the Corker Museum?
No, sir. I know the Corker
Yeah,
Museum.
yeah.
This is the Chattanooga Recovery Museum.
Huh.
It's on Broad Street, going towards Lookout Mountain. I didn't know all this stuff. I'm telling you, in my prayer time, it's like, cast everything you got towards Chattanooga. I thought, what in the world does that mean? Every time you pray, cast everything towards Chattanooga. I thought, what's that got to do? Well, I didn't know what it had to do. I didn't know anything until I started reading this. It has everything to do with me. John Wilder, a well-known businessman, was driving his Model T across East Brainerd at the golf course where that bridge is. You know where that creek,
Yep.
it had flooded. And he was trying to get across that creek, and the flood was too much, and it carried him down the river and his son down the river, the story said. So they got his son, and they thought, this car's out in the middle of the river here, or whatever they call it there. You know that river I'm talking about. And they said, well, call this guy, Ernest Holmes. He'll know what to do.
Wonder why him?
Because he was the Chattanooga garage guru back then. He knew everything about garage and cars. So he came there, and he thought, how am I going to get that car out? So listen to this. He said, how am I going to recover this car?
Which started the recovery. Right?
Yes, sir. He made the first, think about this, and you go notice something when I tell you. He started the first record, the truck record. It took him 8 hours. It said it took blocks, pulleys, chains, 6 men, and a 1913 Cadillac touring 5-passenger car. He put a boom on that thing in the back, and he called it, guess what he called it? He called it a recovery mechanism, which he named it a twin boom record.
Which was your first record.
First record ever. He said, I'm going to pull that guy out. And he did. It took him 8 hours. Well, guess what 8 biblical number means?
It's Hebrew.
It don't matter if it's Hebrew, Greek, or what. It means new beginnings. A new era would start right there at Eastgate. I had been casting my nets towards Chattanooga thinking, God, why am I doing this? But I found out it don't have nothing to do with Chattanooga. It has everything to do with recovery. I'm getting my whole life towards recovery. Because this guy started the record business, grew the biggest record company nationwide in the world. It's in Ottawa, Tennessee. It used to be called Ernest Holmes. Every record that come through the auction had Holmes stamped on the bed. Every one of them.
Well, nobody's heard that story, have they?
No, nobody don't know nothing about it. And then later, his grandson started. It was called Century.
Century Records.
Century Records. It's stamped right in the bed. And now it's called what? Miller Industries.
Miller Industries.
And they got this huge truck out there.
All started in 1916 with a Model T that floated down the river.
Well, Model T, that's right. He had an old Model T Ford in the swollen creek at the present day I-75 Eastgate Center. That's what they said. I took that right
It
off
still
the
floods
internet.
sometimes
Oh,
if it
yeah,
gets
I've
real.
been out there golfing before. That whole place is underwater. So I was casting my net. I said, man, I'm a recovery specialist. So that's why
God works in strange ways.
That's why I feel like this. I've tried so many. You don't know the times I've been trying to go back home. Because I got rental property there, and I bought some farms there, and I've sold them, and I've done business there, and I wanted to be there with my family. You know, and it just didn't work out. My uncle said, I'll see you in my building and you start the auction company. My brothers are there and we'll all get together, but it just, the timing's not right. I'm not released yet. I'm supposed to be.
You may never be released to go back.
Well, I thought about that last year, and you know what I did? I bought 38 acres out there at that auction at where you ride your bike. I see you and Alvin come by.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, on Chatter Valley. Chatter Valley?
Oh, before you get to River Point?
No, it's back the other way before you get to that subdivision David Benson built. I don't know, Windmeyer or Wind. It's at the other end towards the golf course. In front of David.
Oh, yeah.
In front of David Chase.
Oh, yeah.
All that land back over there behind them barns, all that hillside and on, the land, that's what I bought.
That was last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, last year I bought it.
Was pretty land, didn't it?
I'm telling you, D, you wouldn't believe it sitting on that ridge. Unbelievable.
Well, David's
Never knew David Chase. I made him super
well, he's
nice
a
guy.
nice guy.
Oh, God. Nicest guy.
nicest guy. I wouldn't want to make him mad, would you?
No, I don't want to make anybody mad. I try to get along with everybody.
He's got two, I guess, nephews. He really,
Let me tell you, his two nephews,
yeah.
I know when I'm Ben Carroll. Let me tell you know Ben Carroll?
Ben, aren't they twins?
I think they are. Ben and Zach. I don't know if they're
one
twins.
of them's house is on the way. We ride past his house.
See, David come out there one day on his four-wheeler, his Polaris. I was sitting up there in the lounge chair up on that hill thinking, I'm going to build me a house here. He come up, I never met him in my life. He started talking. I'm friends with him right now. I know his wife, you know, I only seen her at Jackie Evans. I didn't know her.
Just at the checkout at the
Just
window.
checking out, saying hey. And I knew Todd, the guy that passed away, you know.
Boy, I like Todd.
Yeah, Todd was a good guy.
Man, he was the best.
And I only went out there because I knew Todd.
That's the only reason I went out there.
Yeah, I said, Todd, I need to come get some mulch or I need rocks. And then I was in the hospital that night visiting one of my tenants, and I seen him in the hospital. I said, is Jackie here? What's wrong with him? They said, it's not Jackie, it's Todd. I said, Todd? I didn't even know.
Well, I remember one Friday afternoon, I had to have some mulch, and it was like 4:30 on a Friday afternoon. And I called him and said, I've got to have this to finish. He said, I can't get there. And I said, man, I really need it. He said, I'm on my way. Like 4:30 on a Friday afternoon.
He did.
Yeah, I just never will forget that. Isn't that funny?
That is. Boy, you go make me a coffee
Well,
drink.
that's good coffee, isn't it?
I like it black, too.
I had a friend of mine tell me, Gene Officer, I was at Munford's one day, and he said, everybody was drinking coffee, so I thought, well, I'll drink me some. And I started putting sugar in it, and he said, what are you doing? I said, I'm putting sugar in it. He said, Dee, he said, coffee's not good. He said, you acquire a taste. He said, acquire a taste for it black. You won't spend the rest of your life hunting for sugar and cream.
So that's
what I did, drink it black.
So what I'm telling you, to answer your question, yes, sir, I'm doing exactly what God's wanting me to do. Because every time I feel like I'm helping people, I don't worry about my paycheck.
You're almost describing sort of a ministry in a way.
It is a ministry. I look
in your way.
You know what it's called?
What?
Marketplace ministry.
Marketplace ministry.
That's exactly, a guy told me I was a marketplace ministry. A guy, Lee, a well-known preacher, I'm trying to think of his name. Well, you would know him. Larry Timmerman. You ever know him? Mm-hmm. Well, he was a great preacher. He told me at 22, he said, you're becoming who you already are. I was 22 years old. I thought, what in the world did you just say? Mm-hmm. But think about it.
You're becoming what you already are.
In God's eyes, he's already seen you what you are. He said, you look at time, and God looks at eternity, you know.
That's why we can't really try to force stuff too much. You ever catch yourself trying to force something that I think, man, just back up. Maybe I'm supposed to be late for that meeting because I was going to have a wreck.
Yeah.
You know, you ever think about that?
Oh, yeah. And when you drive fast, you think, why did I do that?
Well, it's like today, I was going to ride my bike, and after that lady called, I thought, well, boy, I better stick tight in case something happens. That might have been the day I was going to have the wreck.
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't know.
So to really answer you quick, yes, sir. I feel like I'm in my destiny, and I know that I'm an investment recovery specialist. But the greatest, if you really think about it, think about this. The greatest investment recovery specialist is Jesus himself. Look what he did. When you think about what he did, he laid down his whole life. He came from heaven, gave his whole life for us so that we might have life. Now that's like the greatest investment recovery specialist ever. And I'm thinking, thank you, Lord, that you give me a title like you use, because that's what you did pretty much.
You notice the Bible doesn't say to worship Jesus, it says to follow him. You're to worship God, but Jesus never refers to it as worshiping him. I never thought about that till I heard it a couple weeks ago.
I hadn't either.
It just says follow him, but worship God. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Well, I really feel like I'm in my destiny. And now, let me just share a testimony. Okay, a quick one, if we got time.
Yeah, we got time.
You know what a testimony is? What is it in your eyes?
It's something that happened to somebody and they're telling you the truth.
That's right.
gotta
You
be the
give an
truth.
account for something that occurred in the past.
To you,
Right. That's right.
not to me.
Not
It's got to
to
be
me.
your testimony.
It's your testimony. But if you study the word in the Hebrew, it means to repeat or do something again or do time again. That's why people give that's a deeper thought.
That is.
That'll tear you up, man, when you start thinking about it. So what I'm telling you is, once I tell you what happened to me, and it goes on these air here, it's going to happen to somebody else. Watch what I'm talking about. They come to you and say, look, I saw your program, and I was healed. God healed me. You watch and see what's going to happen. You think I'm crazy, but I've seen it.
No, I believe you.
I've seen it happen by just telling the testimony. And
What happened? Is this happen? I think I remember something about that.
I'm going down
but
Mouse Creek Road. I wake up that
About
morning.
when?
1994.
1994.
Yes, sir. Right here. 7/10/94 at 9:31 in the morning. I'm going down the road. This is before 9:31. I got up.
Heading to.
I was hurting in my chest. I'm 30-some years old. I've never been sick. I've never been in the hospital. I'm pretty active. I run, exercise. Over the years, I've been teaching spin at the Y.
You're in good shape.
I thought I was in great shape. And I played baseball over there at Lee. I mean, I was in good shape.
Was you coming this way on Mouse Creek, coming towards town?
I was right there, almost at Mr. Zip. I lived in Mapleton.
Mapleton.
I told Susan, I said, I don't feel good. And she said, take some Rolaids. I said, I'm hurting in my chest. And she said, take some Rolaids. I said, okay. And I said, I'm going to go to church. I'll see y'all later on. And
Was it a Sunday morning?
Yeah, Sunday morning, 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And then I told her, I said, I've been hurting. I said, I think I'm going to just wait for y'all. And I'm glad I did, because I don't know what would have happened. So I'm in the car, van. We had a minivan. By the way, I bought Lehigh and Coco. You remember him?
Yeah.
I bought his van, his personal van.
His personal van?
Yes, sir, that they gave him. Minivans were just coming out. Had the wood grain on it. Nobody had one of them. They were too expensive. I bought it at the auction. He signed it in gold, Lehigh and Coco. I had that van.
Sure enough.
Sure did. I was driving. I'm not kidding. I sold it to later on when I got tired of it. I sold it to a lawyer in Chattanooga. I said, man, this thing came from Lehigh and Coco himself. I know. I used to auction up there in Detroit. I know where it came
It's got to make it worth $1,000 more, doesn't it?
It didn't, though. But whatever. But what was that?
So you're driving down Mount.
I'm driving down Mount
You're
Creek
getting
Road.
close to Mr. Zip.
I'm right there at Mr. Zip almost, right before it. And I tell Susan, I said, hey, I don't feel right. And I went straight in the steering wheel. Gone.
And that road kind of curves, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right there.
It was amazing that she got the car off the road. Now read this.
Yeah, how'd
Orange.
she do that?
Miracle. Miracle. How do you get over there in the driver's seat and slam on brakes or whatever?
Because the road's curving right there.
Real curvy. It's curvy.
It curves back towards Mr. Zip.
It sure
My
does.
brother had a wreck on that road right at that spot.
It was right there. Read what that is right there. I brought that so you can read it. What does it say? Breathing 0.
Breathing, blood pressure 0, pulse 0, respiratory 0, 933. So you were dead.
That's right. See them 4 guys' names down there? You know them. Jeff Spence.
Stan
David
Clark.
Smith.
I know Stan Clark. Frank Abel.
Frank Abel. Frank
Jeff-
Abel lived in my neighborhood. He couldn't believe it was me.
David Sink. Jeff Spence.
Yeah, you know all them people.
Yeah.
You know every one
Yeah.
of them.
So they signed saying at 933
if
you were dead.
I was dead at 9:33. I was dead on arrival when they got there. I was dead. I was gone. I'd already checked out.
The last thing you remember is saying, I don't feel good?
I told her, I don't even remember that, but I said, I don't feel good. Susan told me, she said, Kim, you said you didn't feel good? And he went, bam, right in the steering wheel. They're going down the road, man, with no driver. I don't even know how she got over
I don't
there.
know.
You know, a van.
That had to be a nightmare to her.
My kids were screaming, man.
Golly.
They were young.
And so she called
She called 911. And
well, cell phones didn't have cell phones then in
No,
94.
my daughter
Did we?
ran to a house, and when they called, they said, we know exactly who that is. It was an older gentleman that lived on the corner there.
Had a fenced-in yard.
He had been sick, and they thought they were going to his house because that's where it was happening at, right in front of his house. And he was an older gentleman. He was having heart problems.
So they were already headed that way.
No, they thought it was him.
Oh, I see.
They got the call at 9:31. They told me they responded at 9:32. It didn't take them but a minute because they were
just
down the
right,
road.
yeah.
So when they got there, look at this. I'll show you the time. They arrived at 9:33 and they departed at 9:52. Still no heartbeat. Frank Abel told me, he said, I couldn't even believe it when I got there that was you. He lived in my neighborhood. He said, it just floored him. He said, I couldn't believe it. They said, we worked on you and worked.
They did the resuscitation
Oh, yeah,
and
they were
everything.
doing everything. They didn't get nothing.
For 19 minutes.
25 minutes.
25 minutes.
I was gone. They got in front of the hospital and they said, hey, we got a faint heartbeat. As soon as they got a heartbeat, I went straight into Grandma Caesar's, which they said, he's brain dead. That's exactly what they said. They put me in the hospital, and they told my family, they said, look.
He died, but
He got 1% chance that he could even wake up tomorrow. And we don't know when he's going to wake up. And he probably won't wake up. And if he does, it's not going to be good. You know what my family did?
what? Prayed.
Yes, sir. They started praying.
That
They
was
said-
30 years ago.
It was, let's say, 94,
31 years ago.
31 years ago, right?
But how long was you out? What's the next thing you remember?
I'm going to tell you. When I woke up, it was 3 days later.
Golly, 3 days.
Yeah, I didn't have a clue. I woke up, and I don't remember saying this, but I said, what's going on? My wife said, they've been praying. In fact, it happened on a Sunday, and they told them Tuesday, they said, look, y'all need to decide what y'all going to do because this is not good. You're going to have to take them off the machine or do whatever y'all need. Decide what y'all going to do. They were already given the, you got to make a decision.
Do not resuscitate thing, right?
Yeah, it's not going to be good for him. And we don't even know if he's going to wake up. So they started praying on Tuesday, that third day. Ain't that good? 3 days.
3 days, yeah.
3 days. And I woke up. And they said, you asked, what happened? They said, it's you. And I thought, okay, what?
So were you in a daze at that point, or did it just seem like?
I didn't. You know when I woke up, really? I was in Chattanooga, but I woke up in Cleveland. But in my mind, I woke up in Chattanooga, which I was in Chattanooga. They moved me to Chattanooga about 3 or 4 days later or a week later.
So you were awake, but you weren't
I didn't-
coherent for 6 days.
Probably ever how long those days were, I don't know how long, but I didn't know anything. But I was talking with people and I was telling them, I said, look, I asked Susan, I said, what happened? They were praying. They came in and they prayed. They said, okay, we're going to put it in God's hands. My mother and daddy had come and my brothers were there and my wife and kids. And they said, we're going to pray and whatever happens today, we just got to accept it. And all of a sudden, they said, I opened my eyes. And I said, what happened? And then I told them, I said, hey, I just talked to my granddaddy. He died in 1987.
Do you remember talking to him?
No, sir.
You just,
I told him I talked to him.
but you told him you
I
had.
told him I had talked to my granddaddy. I talked to my mother-in-law. She died in 92. I said, those are the two people that I talked to.
You don't remember talking to him? You don't even remember saying it?
I don't even remember saying it. What I just said, when I woke up in Chattanooga.
6 days later after you
Or
fell
whatever,
out.
how many days, yeah. I don't have no remembrance of Cleveland.
Wonder
At
what
all.
did they say that your grandfather
I don't know. I didn't tell them. I just told them that I had been
you talked
talking
to
with them. I don't know what my granddaddy told me. I don't know what her mother told me. It'd be interesting to know. I can imagine my granddaddy, he was an independent businessman. He probably told me, said, son, you need to be independent.
Yeah.
Because that's the way I was headed.
What was the reason that you passed out?
Never know. Here's what happened. So they said, you got to have, after I came through, and they said, we don't know if this is going to happen again. We don't know what happened. Unknown cause is what they put on there. They said, this could happen again. You're going to have a defibrillator. I said, what do you mean a defibrillator? One of them big old things on the wall over there? They said, no, it's smaller than that. It's big, but it'll go up in your chest right here. You'll be the first patient to get one because you ain't going to like where they put that one. They said they put it right here on the side. It's real big.
And you were feeling fine at that point?
Yeah, I was feeling fine. I was real weak.
Tired and hungry and weak, but
I woke up in Chattanooga and I said, where am I at? And I woke up, I can remember right now, I woke up and I was in Chattanooga Hospital. It was to me, it was super bright. Now, I'm going to tell you something else. They said, look, we're going to have to do an operation. You got some type of scar tissue that's causing your heart irregular heartbeat. And that's what happened. And it killed you. We're going to go in and find that piece of tissue and we're going to cut it off with a laser. I said, okay. So they scheduled the surgery. I'm going to tell you what happened. I go into surgery. I come back. Guess who was in the room?
Who?
My mother, my wife, and a man standing in white. All white, like Kentucky Fried Chicken dude. Don't look like him, this tall, white suit like he wear. Mm-hmm. And I said, hey, I never forget it. They wheeled me in. I said, how y'all doing? I said, who you got with you? And they said, we don't have anybody. I said, yeah, you do. There's a man standing right there behind y'all in white. Had to be a guardian angel. They went into surgery and they said, we can't find nothing. Unknown cause. Sent me to Chattanooga. I was a guinea pig for Embry. They said, we're going to put that defibrillator. I put it in. Now here's the way I was attacked by the enemy. First of all, I got a device in my chest that could go off any time and knock you flat.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
You don't know when it's going to go off. That's mentally. Then physically, my body was so weak and I was just run down. It drained everything.
I'm sure, yeah.
I
Plus
was
you're-
dead.
Yeah.
It drained me.
Not eating.
And finances, I was doing okay. TVA, I had a good job. I could have retired on disability. I said, I ain't doing nothing like that. I lost all my side jobs. Nobody wanted the liability to mess with me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know if I fell over dead. They thought
Yeah.
I had a heart attack.
Plus, you'd already out of sync with everything.
Yeah, I didn't have a heart attack. And I thought, I'm not going to be a person to just get a paycheck from the government and not do nothing. You know, disability. And I said, I'm going on with life. If I fall, I made up my mind, Dee. I was so mentally challenged then. Can you imagine that? 30-some years old, and you got this device that they don't even know nothing about.
And you don't even feel bad?
I'm
Other than depression. That's what they're trying to go and give you.
It wasn't even depression. It was just the fear and
Yeah.
the thought of this thing. It wasn't depression. It was like fear. Like this thing, I lay at night and going, I was wide-eyed.
Thinking, is this going
Wild-eyed.
to stop going? Is the battery going to go dead?
Is it going to shock me?
Yeah.
Is it going to knock me out? And you know what I did? I went up, I told Susan, I said, listen, I'm driving to a Coed River. Leave me alone. I'm going by myself. Because they said, well, you got to have somebody right now with you all the time. I said, no, I don't want nobody. I went up there on the Coed River where the rocks are, and they had the water running. It was gushing and everything. I sat there on that rock, and I said, God, you got to help me or kill me now and let me fall over in this river. Shock me and let me just fall over and I die, and they find me somewhere, because I can't live like this no more. And I just got peace. And I didn't let it bother me no more. 29 years I had that device. Last year, 29 years. 2 years ago now. They said, look, your lead wire is going out. It's making a sound. We got to change it. Plus your device has got to be changed. We're going to go in, and looks like you don't even need a new device because nothing's happened in 29 years. I said,
Because those devices record it, don't they, somehow?
they got a box at home, a machine.
Yeah.
They knew everything I was doing. They could tell if I've been running. They said, what are you doing here at this day? They would go in and sit, it was the most awkward thing. They would put a wand like round and set that thing right on that device. It was sitting right here in the skin. I can show you. Look at that straw where they took it out.
Yeah.
You see it? That's where it was.
29 years, and he didn't even need it, evidently.
29 years, never gone off, never shocked me. Go to the doctor all the time. I used to go every month. Then I went every 3 months. Then it went to be 6 months. And then it went to be a year. It was like every 6 months. They take that wand, they put it on there, and they go, we're going to race your heart. It was the weirdest thing. It was like I sprinted the 40-yard dash, and my heart was racing. I was just sitting there. But my heart was gone. Like, they were controlling it with a pencil. They go, okay, we're going to race your heart up to 100 beats or 90.
Golly. That's like a...
And I could feel it, man.
But I guess they didn't know what to do. Maybe they were doing all they.
They did everything they could. I had the best doctors ever. And he told me, he said, look, you don't need this device. You need a new device called a loop recorder. They said, we're going to take that other one out, but we can't take that the wire out, because it has grown so much tissue.
Yeah.
It's like a jungle in there.
Just gotta leave it.
It's got you. They said, we're going to cut them wires off, put this loop recorder in, and you don't need anything. We can keep up with you through a satellite. It won't give you a shock. It won't do nothing. It'll just warn us when you get in trouble. Because they told me all the time, this will happen to you again. I said, I ain't believing that, because I know a scripture in the Bible. In Nahum, I didn't even know that was a chapter in the Bible, to be honest. It says in Nahum 1:9, affliction shall not rise the second time. And that's what I've been basing my life on. It never went off. I found that scripture way back when I was going through. I said, God, you're going to have to give me something, because I can't live like this. This is crazy. And it gave me that verse. I said, it ain't going to happen. It ain't going off. I go to the doctor, and they go home, Mr. Stone. Everything's fine. You have no activity. That's what I heard for 29 years.
But you always, were you always kind of living in a fear?
A little bit, because I couldn't go I could go places, but if you went to the airport, you had to go around.
Yeah.
They had to pat you down. I got tired of all that. I couldn't go through anything that had metal detectors or checking you for drug, whatever,
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking
But
about.
so how long was it from the time you got that device in before you went and sat on the water and finally got peace with it? Was it like a month or a year or 2
No.
days?
It was while I was at home one day from this recouping, trying to get strong.
Like within 2 weeks?
Within a month or two.
Yeah. Just couldn't take it. No
I
more.
couldn't take it. I thought, man, I got something that'll blow me up, because they said, we got to set this device off. They never put one in nobody's chest. And they told me, they said, we got to set it off. Now, do you want to be awake or you want to be asleep? And I said, okay, give me some choices. What does it feel like? They said, have you ever been, I'm a country boy, they said, you ever been kicked by a mule? I said, no, but I know people that have, and I don't want no part of that. What's the second choice?
Yeah.
They said, well, it's like a big old jolt of electricity. I mean, it's huge, like, bam.
If something goes bad.
Yeah, if it goes off, it's going to knock you to the ground.
What do you think it was, looking back?
What caused it?
What caused the initial problem?
They don't know. I think it was just the enemy, because he don't know where we're headed, but he can kind of see God's got his hand on people, and he'll come after
Or
you.
was it God leading you a different direction?
It could have been God letting things happen where I can, because what happened, that led me to depend on him even more and be more independent, which I needed in business, if that makes sense to you. I had to put them all together. So he put that loop recorder in. I go to North Carolina to visit my brother, and I thought I caught the COVID, but I was getting sick. I mean, I was sick. I told my brother, I said, look, something's not right. I got to go back home. I'm telling you, Dee, my chest swelled up. My arm got big as I don't know what, man, swollen up. He said, man, you better get to the hospital. I said, I'm going tomorrow. I drove all the way home, 8 hours. I was hurting like crazy. I said, God, something's help me, please.
Drove all through the night?
No, it was during the day. It was right after church.
Yeah.
I left church, our home church. I said, I want to go to church, and then I'm going to leave. I left early. I said, I'm going home, man. I'm sick. I got to get home. I went to the hospital. They put me in. They said, look, you're septic. Now, if you get septic, you're going to die. If you don't get some help quick, you're going to die. Poison's all over your body. It'll shut your organs down,
Like Mercer.
Yeah, it's called septic.
Yeah.
Your body's septic. My daddy died from that. I seen him sit right there and die from being septic. I thought, is this how I'm going to die, Lord? Is it my time to die? I called my brother. Am I supposed to die like this? Boy, I was tore up. I thought, is this the way I'm supposed to die? I got all my stuff in order. I told my daughter, I said, I'm going to die right here in this hospital. That's the way I felt. And then a friend of mine called me that was a preacher, and he was praying. He said, you're not going to die. And he started praying with me, and I felt peace, and I said, I'm going to get better. I'm going to get out of this place. And they come and they said, look, we got to wait about 3 days. We're going to feed you a bunch of antibiotics and try to get this poison under control. Well, I was sick as on the water. I'm telling you, I've never been that sick. And they said, we're going to get this under control, and then we're going to go in. We're going to take that loop control. We're going to take it out. Something made me sick.
Something infected that.
Yes. They said that poison's all over your body. The infectious doctor told me, said, it's already all over your body now. It's all in your bloodstream. And I thought, man, I'm a goner. I'm going to sit right here and dry up right here. And the heart doctor told me, said, look, we're going to go in there and we're going to take that loop wire, we're going to take it out too. We don't know how long it's going to take. It could take 30 minutes, an hour. It could take 8 hours because we got to be real careful. That thing, you know how they did? I didn't know it. He said that wire is screwed into your heart with a screw.
Golly.
Huh? Can you
Phillips or straight?
That's a good question.
Maybe a star drill.
I don't know. But they had 2 doctors work. One was up here. They said, we're going to pull it this way. But they had one going up through here. He was a robotic specialist. He had the robotics doing everything.
Yeah.
And he was making his way, making those, making it where he was pulling, keeping tension on it. And he was cutting his way through there, I guess, with a laser.
Tissue or something.
Yeah, trying to get it. And all of a sudden, he showed me, he come out, and they showed me and showed me the wiring, showed me everything.
Was you awake?
Oh, no. I was. And he said all of a sudden, it just went up so easy. It just slid like a spaghetti noodle, this went, come right out. Mm-hmm. And a few days later, I was up. They said, we're going to put something else in you, that loop recorder. I said, no, you're not. I said, I'm done. I'm 60. It was last year. I said, I'm 67 years old. I lived a good life. God's got my life in control. If I die, I'm supposed to die. If that's the way I'm supposed to go, whatever. They said, it might happen again. I said, I've been hearing that for 29 years. I'm trusting God on everything. I'm not, you can forget that. I'm not taking anything. I said, I'm free. And that's the way I felt. And I don't have no device.
You've been 2 years.
It's been 2 years and I feel good. I go exercise, I do everything. I don't have, going through an airport, I don't have to worry about it, think about it. I thought, man, look at how restricted I was. Because I was traveling with TVA at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And I was going through airports and different places. And I was just so restricted.
It was a constant reminder, too.
I lay in the
Every
hotel.
time you look in the mirror.
I thought about it, but I said, God, you got it under control. You gave me peace that day on that rock. You didn't kill me, so I know you don't want me dead yet. I asked you to kill me. You know, for what I remember, I thought, I want, if it's going to go off, let it go off right now. Because I'm ready. I'm just... But I was going to tell you, they said when they set it off, I know what it feels like. I said, I want to be put to sleep. So they put me to sleep. They thought they did, but I was not asleep. I was laying there, and I could hear every word they said. And they were talking, y'all ready or something? And one guy was counting. He said 10, 9, and I was trying to talk. Hey, I can hear y'all.
Yeah.
And when he said 1, it was like an electrical shock. It blew, my head blew off. I felt like that's all, it exploded. Like, it was like an electrical explosion. Like, when they said 1, it's like it hit my head, and my head, it knocked me out. And I saw the video. My body was like a fish.
Probably like a
flopping.
Execution.
Yeah, it was like, that little, oh, sorry.
Little bitty thing.
That little bitty thing had my body coming off that bed like this, like, you know, doing that dance they do.
That was supposed to shock your heart back into a defibrillator, like that.
Well, you seen them.
Yeah.
When they shot people, how they come off almost off the ground. Their whole body shake.
What a testimony, right?
I'm telling you, I'm healed. I believe it. Affliction shall not rise the second time.
That's comforting, isn't it?
Yeah, and I know I'm helping people. I'm in my destiny. Will I ever get out? I don't know. If I don't in another year or two, if I don't retire him to say, hey, I'm done. Bradley County's been good to me. Thank you, people. I'm going back home where I came from. If I do that, I go over there. If I don't, I got 38 acres. I can go build me a house and sit there and relax and enjoy life with my grandkids.
Wave at David.
Yeah. Say, hey, David, you out there messing with your cows and watch all his cows and horses.
Being in the auction business, you have any John Paul stories?
Yeah. I got one that's the best ever. When I came to Cleveland, Tennessee, I told you I wanted to get my auctioneer license, and you got to have a
sponsor.
But let me tell you about John Douglas here, the guy, that pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
When I came to Cleveland, Tennessee, I had to get a job. I thought, well, what am I going to do? I met the guy that owned that real estate company called Gentry. His name was Billy Phillips.
Billy Phillips, yep.
You remember him?
Yep. No, I don't remember, but I remember
Excuse me.
John Paul worked for him, right?
John Paul worked for him and a bunch of other guys.
Jim Hicks.
Jim Hicks worked for him and John Paul, and that's where I met them. Nicest guys you could do.
Right up here, I guess, wasn't it, maybe?
No, it was old Dr. Gurnet's office right now, over there.
Well, they were a team, weren't they? Jim Hicks and him.
Yeah, they sold the real estate. They were willing and dealing back then.
John Paul said they'd sold out of both britches legs. I don't know what that meant, but it meant a lot.
That meant they sold everything.
Yeah.
And that was in the 70s.
Yeah.
I came here in 75.
They were rolling then.
They
weren't
were rolling. And I was their carpet guy, clean, whatever he wanted done. Mr. Phillips, I did. I'd go to his farm and plant trees.
You're in college.
Yeah. I did. That was one of my first jobs. I don't know how I got hooked up with him, but it was a beautiful job because I didn't know what I was going to do, and he paid me good, and he liked me.
Was Bill Harris in there then? Did he sell for them?
I don't.
You remember Bill Harris?
I know Bill Harris. Yeah. I didn't know him. I knew him, but I don't remember him. But he was very nice to me. Now John Paul Lewis, when I went to auction school, and as soon as I got out of college, I went to auction school. I knew I had to get to auction school behind me, and then I could get me a sponsor. I went around, nobody would help me. I didn't know nobody. Mm-hmm. I knew Earl Green. You know that name?
Carroll and Green Realty.
Not him.
Not him.
It's another guy. I think his name was Earl Green. He had an auction on 64 with Freddie Clowers and Evelyn Clowers.
Oh, I remember Freddie. They had
an antique auction.
They owned where the Burger King is.
Yeah. And
he had a bad hand, didn't he?
He had a bad hand.
Wore
He wore a glove.
Yeah.
Sure did. They lived in that big white nice house.
Brentwood Drive.
That's right. Big, nice home. Sitting back up in there.
That's Joey Little's mother.
Who?
Joey Little.
I don't know her.
Joey Little. Well, he was married. She was married to the guy that had Captain D's. And his son was Joey Little. My age.
Yeah. Well, they had an auction. And that old man was the auctioneer, and I used to go out there and he let me auction. Mm-hmm. And the reason I remember that is because I never had a speeding ticket in my life. Never had but one in my life. And I was coming back from that auction because I was trying to get to a ball game at Lee. And I come down that big hill right there at Jenkins.
Yeah, Airport Road.
No, up there on the bypass, coming down the hill before you get to Jenkins.
Oh, yeah.
Well, all that stuff was not there. You know that.
Yeah.
I think it was just a 2-lane road.
Just hauling, right?
I was just probably doing 65, coming down through there, didn't think nothing about it. And a state trooper got me. It cost me $25, and I thought, how in the world am I going to pay $25?
You've only had one speeding ticket?
One in my life.
Golly.
Never had a wreck and
Don't
never
say
had
that.
a speeding. Yes, sir. I'm thanking God.
Yeah.
That's
Knock
right.
on wood.
Thanking God. And but John Paul Lewis, getting back. So I said, I got to have a sponsor. Nobody went sponsor. So I went out there and met him. He said, I'll help you out, boy. You know how he talks.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
He said, I'll help
like
you
John
out.
Paul Lewis.
Yeah, he helped me out. He said, look, I got too many auctioneers. He had a bunch under him. You can't have but maybe 2 or 3. Mm-hmm. He already had 2 or 3. He said, well, one of my sponsor, he'll sponsor you, which was Danny Ratcliffe.
Danny Ratcliffe. Yeah, that's an old name, isn't it?
Yeah. Danny was a nice guy, too. He said, I'll sponsor you. So he sponsored me for 2 years. He said, you come out here. He had an old Friday night or Saturday night sale in that back of his building. Remember that?
Yeah.
I go out there and
Didn't Bobby Hall auction somewhere around that era?
I got him involved in auctioneering. Sure did. He went to school. He worked at Award Realty, and I told him, I said, I'm going to start a company here. He said, I like auctioneering. I said, well, go over there at Mendenhall. He went to school at Mendenhall and got his license. He started a little old country auction out there.
Behind his house.
That's right. I don't know what he did. Only went out there one time. I didn't have time. I was working
He sold stuff kind of like Ben Lewis did, some overstock stuff.
That's right. But John, he would have a equipment sale once a month.
John always made you feel like he liked you. No matter who you were, you always thought Johnny Lewis liked you. He had that gift, didn't he?
He did. He was nice to me.
And Ben did too.
I didn't know Ben. He was nice to me, but I didn't know him as well as I knew John. I got to know John. He was always laughing and carrying on, and
his boy Johnny's like that.
I got to know Johnny, and Johnny. You know what? I had a sale 3 or 4 years ago, and the grass was real high. And Johnny called me and said, boy, that grass needs cutting out there. He said, I'm going to go out there and cut it for you. He went out there and bush hogged that whole place, didn't charge me a dime.
And it was your auction.
My auction, yeah. That's the kind of guy he is.
That's Johnny.
Yeah. I won't never forget that. And John helped me get the license. And then when I served the 2 years, I got my own license.
You know what? I remember I was up in Charleston, and I forget what it was, but anyway, so I get in the car with Johnny. Either he's driving around, no, he was driving. I get in the front seat, and I looked at him, and he looked at me, and I said, it was right in the middle of COVID. I said, you worried about COVID? And he said, no, are you? And I said, no. And I said, I guess it'd be too late now, wouldn't it?
That's funny.
Just
too late now.
Two rednecks from Cleveland. We weren't going to worry about it anyhow.
Did you ever catch it?
Yeah.
I did too.
Yeah.
Was it bad?
It was about 3 days. It was, I went to a motel.
I was one of the first ones. When it first hit here, it hit at Westmore Church. Mm-hmm. Remember that?
Yeah.
My wife was there.
Uh-huh.
She brought it home. It spread all over that church that night. She come home and she got me infected and my granddaughter, so we had to stay right there. But I thought I was going to die. Again.
It was about 3 days. I was bad. I remember being I went and stayed at a motel. I don't know if you were supposed to or not, but I just drunk NyQuil.
Yeah, I didn't know what was going to happen. My body was going every which way. I would shake and have fevers and sweat. I thought, man, this mess. I was sick. But I'm a blessed man, and I feel good, and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and
And hey, we got about 20 more years here, don't we?
Well, I hope we do. I sure hope we do. If I'm supposed to stay in Bradley County, I'm gonna build me a house on that farm. My daughter's gonna build a house there, and I'm gonna enjoy it.
What's she do?
She's a hairdresser.
Where at?
She went to Lee, and then it's called Beacon. It's down below where Tom Cake had that building on the Creekside. You know where Creekside is?
Yeah.
It's down below there. She got a great business.
Oh. She own it?
No, they just independent.
She just got
they got a.
Haircutting would be a good business, wouldn't it?
She does.
You figure $25 a pop or $35, whatever it is, and everybody's got to come in once a month or every 2 months.
She does good. She works about 3 days a week, and Ryan, the husband, my son-in-law, he works for Shaw. He's some kind of engineer there, and they make good money. They got 5 kids. And one of them's graduating from Lee right now. I thought, wow.
My son's graduating from Lee. Cole.
Really?
Yeah, he's in like the 11th grade or whatever they call that in college.
Okay.
Sophomore.
Is he a sophomore?
Yeah, sophomore.
My granddaughter,
How old
she's 22. And
maybe we get them together.
Yeah, she's 22.
Hey, that age, they don't do like we did, do they? It's just different.
She's 22 and she's graduating in December.
They just don't socialize like we did, do they?
I don't think they do. Maybe they do. They have fun, though. I see them. She got a bunch of friends. She's in DZT, and they go around. They have a lot of fun. I take them out. She'll get 4 or 5 of those girls, and they come over, and I got a pontoon boat, and we go to Lake Ocoee. You know, I love Lake Ocoee because you can see, 10 feet in the water. I like seeing what's under my feet.
Me and John Paul had a boat up there.
Did you?
Yep, we had a boat up there, and he took it out once, and I took it out twice. It wasn't our thing. It wasn't our thing. I wish I'd have kept it though. It was a nice houseboat.
I never had a houseboat, but I always had ski boats, pontoon boats. I always had a boat.
Can you keep a houseboat at Parksville nowadays? I guess you can, can't you?
I guess so.
I don't know what it costs, but
boy, that place has grown. They got a bunch of boat slips. It's really added on.
But I hate you had to walk down that thing and you had to punch a gate. Sometimes you go up there and there's nobody else there, and I thought, boy, what if somebody slices my throat or something?
Yeah. I think about leaving my truck up there, while I'm out on the water. Sometimes it's only 2 or 3 cars out there.
That's probably pretty safe.
Yeah. I think the forest rangers come through there all the time. I just bypass I really like it up there. I like B&B too, I buy a pass to go there too.
I just like a more quieter place.
I do
myself.
too. I go back in one of those sloughs and we just have fun, I take my grandkids and we'll dock about where the water's about 10 feet deep and we'll swim to the bank back and forth.
Yeah.
That's fun. They have fun.
That's hard to beat, isn't it?
We have a blast. And, we're making memories.
That's all we got.
We're making memories, and it's beautiful. And I figure if we get out there on that farm, we'll make a lot more, hopefully.
And a lot of it's just having it and thinking about it and all of that stuff.
Oh, yeah. We're super blessed.
If you see us riding bikes out there sometimes.
I see you all the time. Y'all come by there.
We come by.
You're headed towards the golf course.
Well, I was out there yesterday. Boy, I got caught coming back. I went up to.
Rainstorm.
Oh, man, the sky turned black, and I ducked inside up on Upper River Road. I ducked inside a barn. I don't know whose barn it was. And it was just me, and there was an old car behind a tractor, and the door was opened.
Yeah.
And in my mind, somebody had opened the door, and I thought, oh, Lord, I'm going to get murdered here. But the door was open. Nobody was in it.
Right.
And then this gray cat walks up to me, and me and the gray cat sat there for about 30 minutes and watched it rain. And then I left. Boy, it was bad. It was bad.
Wow. Yeah, I see you guys. If you ever see me, I drive I got a Tundra truck, Toyota, but if you ever see a gray Jeep out there, that's me.
Well, I usually.
You're not even
It's a
looking.
different world when you're riding it.
I
Everything's just. Well, they took all those fences down there. Somebody did.
Took the fences down?
Took a bunch
Where
of
at?
fences down at the end of Tasso and Chatta Valley.
Okay.
Or
Oh,
is
yeah,
it-
they
Yeah, they took
what,
all.
are they building lots there or what?
Don't know.
I know where you're talking about. They took it all up through there. They sure
I
did.
don't
They
know why
cleaned
they
it
did
up.
that. I had a wreck right there. That white dog jumped out and hit my spokes, and I went flying and hit the mailbox, but didn't hurt anything.
Wow.
But they've got it locked up now.
I'm just very thankful. I'm just a blessed man. I've been on a journey. It took me a while to get where I needed to be.
You're doing good. You're looking good.
I
And I
feel
tell you
good.
what, you sure don't look 69.
I'll be 69
You
in
look
a few
older.
months.
You look younger than me.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm just say, yeah, October I'll be 69. I don't feel like some days I do. I used to teach spin at the Y.
Well, that's tough.
All you
tough.
guys used to come. Tim Walter.
Tim
and all
Walter
his
come. Had a
people-
ball. Didn't had a ball come.
Had a ball come. They used to come to my class all the time. I worked them out.
Yeah. Proctor, he'd come. And,
All
yeah,
of them did.
I never did. I never did go. I just go outside. I'd ride outside even if it's freezing.
Really? Yeah, them boys used to come all the time. Oh yeah. Hannibal, I didn't know where he worked till I started getting on Social Security. You know, I went down to the Social Security office and I said, "Man, what are you doing?"
He rides with one arm, is right as good as anybody.
Boy, that's amazing.
He'll fall about 2 or 3 times a year. You got to be careful being behind him.
Really? Yeah, he can ride at the Y. He'll stand up, man, and ride like a.
And he'll put his bike in the back of the car with one arm. It's incredible. I think Tim took him bow hunting one time.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Tim said he did it.
There's one boy that comes down there that was in my spin class. I can't think of his name. He went to school with Susan. I could see his face. He's the hardest rider I ever seen. He rides bikes with you guys. That boy, from the time we start to the end, he's standing up the whole time.
Oh, that's Oshmel.
Is that it?
That's Oshmel. He's unbelievable.
Beast.
They said he did. Alvin rode behind him going up Chilhowie and said he never sat down. All the way up Chilhowie. I know who you're
If
talking
it's the
about.
same guy, this guy, I thought, man.
Yeah, it's slightly bow-legged.
He will not sit down. I thought, man, he
will
is
not-
riding.
And the nicest guy you'll ever. Oh yeah, he's Cuban. He came
Okay.
over on a boat.
Really?
Literally.
Wow.
Osmel.
I tried riding. You know, Tim gave me the Jesus bike. You know that bike?
Oh, the one that's got the orange bike or something?
It's orange and it
yeah.
had Jesus on the
Yeah,
back.
had. And Tim was afraid to take it off.
Yeah, I did too. He said, I didn't take that off. I said, I'm not going to take it off either. I said, I'm gonna ride and go back and see if I can ride. I guess that was not my thing.
It's fun, man.
I know I used to run a lot, but riding that bike, I like the spin class, but I bet it is fun. It's in your blood, then.
It gets in your blood. It's so fun.
And it keeps you in shape.
Keeps you in safe, clears your. It solves all problems.
Does it?
It solves all
I
problems.
probably need to get into it, but I couldn't ride with you guys. It would take me several months to catch up.
I
Maybe
still can't catch Tim.
He is a beast too.
It's unbelievable. You can't. You just have to see it to believe it.
He's like those race horses. He'll wait for you back there, and all of a sudden,
Oh, he's just toying with you.
yeah,
It's
he's just like, oh, I see what. He just got it, don't he? He can ride a bike.
his legs are so strong.
He can ride a bike.
His leg. I just don't understand it. I hadn't figured that one out.
Really? I know he's tough.
Hey, cheers to Tim Waldron.
Yeah, Tim Walker.
Tim Waldron. Hey, I've really enjoyed it.
I am too. Thank you for having me.